Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 57 on February 12th, 2023 from your favorite Wager Talk handicapper for only $1,199 versus a regular price of $1,999 for one total savings of $800. This limited time super discount comes out to less than $100 per month and only $3.28 per day. As an added bonus, your all access starts immediately. So the sooner you buy before Super Bowl 56, the more additional days you will get for free. Just go to WagerTalk.com, choose your favorite handicapper to lock in, and don't forget there is no limit to the amount of handicappers you can redeem our Super Bowl to Super Bowl offer on.
All right, guys, welcome in and a very happy Thursday to you. February the 10th, 2022, and a ton, over 60 college basketball games on the card here tonight. We are going to dive into three of them. We'll have a couple of best bets here at the end of the show as well. And, of course, we will do it with one of the finest crews, the Thursday crew here on the college basketball tip-off shows. We welcome in Tony Mejia, Steve, Mr. William and Mary Merrill, that is 2 R's and 1 L, and Dave Culkin back in the seat again here today. Gentlemen, happy Thursday. Tony Mejia, my man, what is going on? Fingers typing away over there. I know you got a lot going on at WagerTalk.com. Tell us a little bit about what's available.
Yeah, you heard a little bit of gold sheet fun for our college hoops clientele over there. And then we've got, obviously, the trade deadline in the NBA going off, with the big James Harden, Ben Simmons move that broke at the top of the hour. And, there's a little football game that's going to be played on Sunday. So very busy. Got a 5% play up in the NBA, but this is a college show. So we'll focus on college here. We'll have a package up for that as well. And a play up for clients is already out there. Same one that I talked about with Mr. Merrill on Wager Talk today earlier. So he's privy to that one.
Package available, guys. Love it. And Steve Merrill joining us. William and Mary, big game tonight. I think they're getting 400. So are you going to be watching that game, Merrill? Tell us what you got going on at Wager Talk.
First of all, I actually can watch the game because it's on national TV for the second straight game. I was at the game Saturday. They got blown out by Wilmington, and yet CBS Sports Network once more, and they're putting them on live tonight at 5 o'clock Eastern. It's a matinee, I guess, at Towson, who's just beat them over 20 a couple weeks ago. William Mary opened 19. It was 18 last night. Now it's 17. The money's coming in on the Tribe as the big dog. That goes at 5 Eastern, part of a triple header that concludes with Gonzaga tonight on that network. So, all jokes aside, they are on national TV for the second straight game. I hope the commercials were not too expensive for that one. They continue to cover, though. Wilmington is not playing tonight, I believe, but they continue to cover. They're 11-1 in the CAA. I'm not going to look at those games, though. We got some big games here in the show, and I do have a big NBA play note. Tony talked about the trade deadline. Favorites continue to cover last night, Joe. NBA favorites went 4-2. They're now 29-5 ATS the past 5 days. But guess what? I snuck in with the one outright underdog winner last night, one of the two, the Portland Trail Blazers, and I had a 2-0 sweep for my clients. So I'm not afraid to go against the grain. And we're on an 8-2, 80% all sports run the past 5 days. And I've got a strong NBA best bet tonight. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
All right, good stuff there. And Dave, speaking of best bets, you are certainly locked and loaded there. NHL continuing to dominate. Congratulations there. And college hoops tonight as well. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I finally lost the best bet last night at Harvard. And they got it real close at the end. But that one fell short. So the best bet winning streak finally ended. But I have another one up tonight in college basketball. Also, the first NHL bet I've made since the All-Star break. I should have played Calgary last night, but didn't do it. But I do have a best bet up tonight in the NHL, and see if we can get that one to the winner's circle.
All right. No doubt you will, guys. Let us kick it off, though, here with a Big Ten matchup tonight. Game number 1. Let's look at these Purdue Boilermakers taking on Michigan's here. Purdue opened up as a 3-point favorite. The total opened at 147.5, 9 o'clock Eastern time here. They look good. Let's face it, that Illinois game the other night was a good test there, Tony Mejia, and Purdue passed it. Michigan still trying to find form, if that's realistic. What do you think of their chances to hold serve here against Purdue at home?
I mean, being at home helps because they are very young. That's what stands out mostly when I watch Michigan. It's obviously not the same team that was a really nice story all last season and made Juwan Howard look great. Now people want to pile on Juwan that he's not a good coach, but I think he is. He really paid his dues being an assistant in Miami under Eric Spoelstra and that fantastic coaching staff. And you can't take away what he was able to do last season with the Wolverines. But this particular team really not improving much. They come off an ugly game against Penn State, and then they've played this Purdue squad. So we'll see whether they're able to, what they're able to show in a situation that, should be better for them. Having some experience against these Boilermakers and now getting it at home. But Jaden Ivey was terrific in the first meeting. Just a couple of days ago, he had 23 points and 7 assists. He's actually in the conversation now for the #1 overall pick. Just how dynamic he can be as a difference maker at the guard spot. And obviously, you've got to deal with 7'4" Zach Edey and Travion Williams, one of the better passing bigs. So it's a tough challenge for Michigan. The key will be to keep Hunter Dickinson out of foul trouble. And if that's the case, they've got a puncher's shot. But I'm not going to get in the way of Purdue just because it's a letdown spot. It absolutely is a letdown spot coming off such an impressive win over Illinois and then having to go on the road to a tough environment in Ann Arbor. But it's Purdue or nothing for me.
All right, Purdue or nothing for Tony Mejia. I looked at KenPom here, Steve, and they had this as a 5-point Purdue game here, and the market opened up a little bit less than that as well. What do you think of Michigan's chances here?
Yeah, I think one thing KenPom does not do, though, is factor in the emotional side of things, right? The revenge factor, which is legitimate here because not only did Michigan lose, of course, at Purdue, but more importantly, it was a quick loss just 5 days ago. It was last Saturday. So this is one of those quick home-and-home revenge spots that I love to look at in both college and pro basketball, especially with quality teams as a home dog here. We talked about Purdue against Illinois Tuesday last time I was on the show here with Dave. And, I mentioned that Purdue is just lights out from three. There's a reason they're the most efficient offense out of 358 teams this year. It's because they shoot an incredible 41% from three-point range, 24 attempts a game, too. They take a lot of them. They hit exactly 41% against Illinois as scripted, and that's over 24 games now. Michigan, though, very good three-point defense, especially at home. They're holding teams to just 29% shooting. Now, Illinois also was a good three-point defense, and obviously it didn't matter. But I think at home, as opposed to Illinois being the road team in that last game, Michigan's going to have a good D in this one. Michigan also a very efficient offense. They shoot 47% from the field this year. They get a lot of points down low, and Purdue might be great offensively, but they're not even top 100 defensively efficiency-wise. So I like the quick revenge angle here. I think Michigan's a live home dog tonight.
Dave, you've talked about the revenge a lot this season here in college hoops. Do you find that it's easier for a team like Michigan, this quick turnaround, let's hurry up and get back at it, or do you think it maybe it diminishes it a little bit for them?
I can't give you an answer to that either way because every game's individual. So, the revenge factor can matter in some situations, and it doesn't matter in other situations. I don't know what to make of this. Look, I'm not a college basketball coach. Okay, obviously these guys know more about it than I do. But in watching Michigan this year, at some point maybe change it up. I mean, this is a very athletic team, and yet they play at what amounts to a snail's pace. They're really slow-paced offensively, and it hasn't been working out. And at some point, maybe you say, you know what, let's get out there and run and see what happens. Now, I don't think they're going to do that, and I think that's going to create a problem for them tonight. I made the number 4. I'm not really interested in playing the game. Saw a good portion of the game at Purdue last week, I guess it was. And it wasn't as close as the final score indicated. The score margin was 6. it wasn't that close. Purdue didn't have a good game offensively. Had they made more threes, it would have been a runaway, probably a 12 to 15-point win. I can't back Michigan. I don't like the spot for Purdue coming off a big game and a really good second half against Illinois. So I'm on the sidelines on this one. No idea.
Yeah, they shot great in that last game. They didn't turn the ball over a ton either, and they still weren't close in that game. So it is up to 3.5 in some spots, guys. Big Ten action here. Purdue taking on Michigan here tonight. We'll head out to the Pac-12 in our second game here, and let's talk a little Arizona and Washington State. And Arizona opened up as a 5.5-point road favorite with that total at 142.5, and a big whooping there against Arizona State there. Took care of business, Steve Merrill, Arizona did. Washington State, what do you think about Arizona having to go there on the road as this kind of favorite?
Well, one thing I always look at in college basketball is tempo and pace. And Arizona is a very unique team in that regard because they're the third fastest team in the country out of all 358 teams this season. They like to play up-tempo fast. Now, they're very efficient both offensively and defensively. Just because they play fast doesn't mean they're not good defensively. They hold teams to 37% shooting, still one of the best defenses in the country, obviously very good offensively. But Washington State does slow games down. And we've talked about revenge. I say revenge works better for home teams. Well, dictating the tempo also works better for home teams, especially teams that like to slow things down. And I think that's what Washington State's going to definitely look to do in this game. They know they can't outscore Arizona. They know they don't want to run and gun with them. And I do think Arizona could be a little uncomfortable playing this way. They're coming off the win against rival Arizona State. I know Arizona State's not great this year, but keep in mind, they struggled with them just a couple weeks ago. It was coming off that loss to UCLA. They came out flat. It was sandwiched in between the rematch against UCLA. They came out a little flat, lackluster 11-point win against Arizona State on January 29th, a couple Saturdays ago. Came right back and beat them by 12 as a 12-point favorite on the road on Monday. And they've got another road game on deck this Saturday at Washington. So I don't think it's a great setup here schedule-wise for Arizona. And if Washington State is able to slow things down and ugly it up, I think they could stay within the spread here. This is also a Washington State team that's won 5 straight and 6 of their last 7 outright. So you can make an argument they're actually a live dog tonight.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, Arizona really picked it up there in that second half against Arizona State, and Washington State is going to bring the defense here tonight, Dave. So what do you think? What do you think we get in this matchup?
Well, it's not a great spot for Arizona. They're up 2 rivalry games with Arizona State, 2 games with UCLA, and 1 with USC. So they're stepping down in class here. They don't need to win. They're probably going to be a number 1 seed. I mean, you never know what can happen the rest of the way, but based on their schedule, it's hard to see how they won't be a number 1 seed come tournament time. So it's kind of a tricky spot for them. In Washington State, it's a huge game, absolutely huge game for the Cougars. The problem is I don't know that Wazoo can stay with them for 40 minutes because Arizona's just better than they are. And I made the number 7 in the game. I think if I were to bet this, I'd take a shot with the Cougars in the first half. They might catch Arizona a little bit flat, and obviously the crowd's going to be completely geared up for this game. And as I said, it's a big game for the Cougars. So if I were going to make a bet on this game, which I'm not going to do, but if I were going to make a bet on the game, I'd take Washington State first half.
All right, it's a great way to look at it here. Tony Mejia, this series has been dominated by Arizona over the years here. They've been pretty good. I think 5-2 on the road at conference this year. What do you think we get from Arizona here tonight?
Well, I mean, it's a spot for Arizona where they're coming off a rivalry game, but ASU's so far down that I really don't think that's quite a big deal, especially since they really ran over the Sun Devils. I mean, the game was closer than the spread, but they shot 58% from the field and had complete control over. This is actually, I think, an interesting matchup because this Washington State team has some experience. Michael Flowers, the point guard's been around for more than a half decade, considering he started at Western Michigan and South Alabama, and he's legit. He's actually done a really nice job of getting acclimated to the Pac-12 and is now on a bit of a scoring spree. They've got some size in the middle that is going to give Arizona some problems around the rim. So I think this is going to be an interesting game. But certainly it's one that I don't want to step in front of Arizona because I think what Dave was alluding to, once we get past that first half, where Washington State does have a home court edge early and can kind of change some things up to make Arizona uncomfortable. Arizona is the better team, and Arizona can certainly pull away in the second half. I'm probably going to look at getting in front of Arizona's desired pace, because even though they are one of the faster teams in the country, they are the second best in field goal percentage defense, behind just Houston. And Washington State has proven that they can clamp down as well. The under is 9-3 in Arizona's last 12 games, despite their scoring prowess, and it's 13-3 in Washington State's last 16. So I think Washington State can keep from getting blown out, and I think it's going to be in a lower scoring spot than expected. I saw that the total jumped a little bit to 143, from 143 to 145. So value-wise, the only place you can get into is where I'm telling you to get into, and that's on the under.
All right, looking at the under in that one, Arizona, Washington State. Let's keep it out in the Pac-12 here, guys, and take a look at Stanford and Oregon. The Ducks open up as a 8.5-point home favorite here with the total of 140.5. And given this past week for both of these teams here, Dave, you give Oregon the edge at home, but by 8.5?
To me, it's a good number. I made it 9.5, so it's close there. I do think the situation favors Oregon. They've got revenge. And if you look back at the first game, Oregon wasn't playing particularly well at the time, and they had trouble in that game on a number of counts. They should have won the basketball game. Okay, they were the better team in that game, but found a way to lose it. Missed some shots they should have made, gave up too many baskets at the rim. You would think those things will be corrected. They're playing much better basketball now than they were earlier in the season, which is typical of Dana Altman teams. You get into February with Dana Altman, not a team you want to go against. So it didn't make my card. The number's a little too steep for me, and I'm not really crazy about laying a lot of points. College basketball, I'm more of a dog player. So I didn't play it, but Oregon would be my preferred side in this game.
So it's Oregon is a nice little run they got going here, Tony Mejia. Stanford, inconsistent at best to describe them. They did win the first matchup. What do you think we get from them in this matchup in Oregon?
Yeah, I mean, inconsistent at best because your best player is a freshman. He's pretty talented, but I mean, Harrison Ingram is a freshman. He's disappeared in games. Now you ask him to really take a very good defense and kind of lead you on the road. I mean, they've got a veteran in Jaden Delaire who's made some big shots and will need to show up for this game to be competitive. But this is Oregon or pass for me, and I don't think I'm going to have be touching this game at all. So I'll see what Steve says. But it's basically Stanford going back on the road. Last time they were on the road, they scored 43 points at UCLA. So Oregon or nothing, and I agree that the number is probably right.
All right, what do you think here, Steve? Dana Altman, like Dave said, usually ramps the teams up. They start to play real well this time of year. They won a game, hell, in Colorado. They haven't done that in a long time. So what do you think we get here?
A couple things. First of all, I was on the show Tuesday. I went against Stanford as my free play winner here on the show with UCLA. And one of the things I mentioned is that Stanford had turnover problems this year, and I thought UCLA was going to be able to exploit that. And Stanford actually only had 11 turnovers, surprisingly, against a good Bruins pressure, but they only forced 6. I mean, Stanford does not force any turnovers. So one of the reasons they have been inconsistent this year is that they do have turnover problems at times. And I think in a hostile environment at Oregon tonight, that's going to be a potential problem. So Oregon be the way I'd play this one. I just don't think Stanford can handle the ball. And then on top of that, we do get the nice revenge angle as well from that earlier meeting in which Stanford won at home by 3. Look at that game. Stanford had 17 turnovers and still won the game. Oregon had only 12. So I think it's going to be even worse. I'd look for 20-plus on the road. And if I think a team's going to have 20 turnovers, I'm going to fade them. And one other thing I didn't point out Tuesday, another reason I went against Stanford with UCLA, I thought it was a really good spot for UCLA. That was the majority of that play there. But Stanford going into Tuesday night's game was the third luckiest team in the country out of 358 this year. That's based on kind of one-loss record. So we don't use it a lot when we're talking about point spreads. But I do think they're a potential fade for that reason. Now they're down to the 10th luckiest team. So I still think there's going to be some value going against Stanford. And if they have turnover problems tonight, Oregon gets the winning cover.
All right. Stanford won the boards in the first matchup. We'll see if that holds true in this matchup as well as Oregon and Stanford. Pac-12 battle tonight, guys. 9 o'clock Eastern time tip with that one. And over 60 games in total here today on the card. So trying to figure out if there's a game these guys like a little bit more than the rest of them. So Tony Mejia, kick us off here, man. What is the game you got circled for us here tonight?
Well, I'm all about the CAA, and I was watching Hofstra the other day against UNC Wilmington. It was actually a fantastic game, and I was on the Hofstra side. They won but did not cover. Both teams just made shot after shot, and maybe that carries over because I'm liking the over in Hofstra Drexel. These teams played 3 weeks ago. The Dragons lost 71-68 up in Queens, but they were without 3 key players. James Butler, Travion Brown, and Lamar Odom. They were all back, and it's a team that can really divvy up the scoring. So I don't think Hofstra is going to be able to stop them. But will they be able to stop Pride point guard Aaron Estrada? The Oregon transfer has really been legit all season. In the Colonial, he had 30 points in the previous meeting against Drexel, and he was the driving force against Wilmington the other night. And they've got Zach Cooks in the mix. Cooks had 16 the other day, hit 3 big threes. He's a really strong shooter, a transfer from NJIT. He was missing in that first matchup as well. So that game was 71-68. This one I think will be higher scoring and equally competitive. I like the over on 145.5 points.
All right, liking the over in that one. And what do you think, Steve? I know you ain't taking the 19 of Townsend. So, Gab, what are you looking at here?
Knew there's something I liked about Tony Mejia, like in CAA basketball. Tony, when you come to Virginia, I'll trade you a couple of those Tribe tickets for your Orlando Magic season tickets, and we'll take you to a game.
It's a steal for me.
I actually went to the Hofstra game. William & Mary upset them back at it was on New Year's Eve, I believe. Actually, no, it was the 29th. They upset Northeastern. Anyway, Hofstra, great shooting team, Tony. So I'm with you on the over there. Some of the best shooters I've seen play this year. They have like numerous guys that hit 90% from the free throw line, 35, 40% from three. So Hofstra can shoot the ball. I'm going to look at a bigger game tonight in the Pac-12 national TV game at 9 o'clock Eastern. Washington State +7. This line opened 5.5. The early money came in on Arizona. It's now +7. I disagree with that move. I do not think this is a good spot for Arizona. I know Arizona State's not a big-time team, but it's still an in-state rival. They just beat them after beating USC, and, of course, a huge revenge win against UCLA 3 games back. They also have a look-ahead spot on the road for the 3rd straight time at Washington, so that'll actually be their 3rd road game in 5 days this Saturday, so they don't necessarily need to tax their players tonight. I think Washington State will oblige. They'll slow this game down. Arizona is one of the fastest-paced teams in the country. Washington State knows they can't play that way. It's going to be a slow half-court game. That favors the 7-point home dog here. And Washington State's quietly won 5 straight and 6 of their last 7 outright. We'll take the live dog tonight in a good scheduling spot, slow down half-court style. Washington State Cougars +7. Keep it close at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight. On Thursday, don't forget, college and pro basketball, 80% run this week, 8-2, my last 10 best bets. I've got a strong NBA best bet backed by an incredible 26-3 super situation, which I give you in the analysis. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
All right, good stuff there, Steve. And speaking of streaks, Dave on a 7-1 best bet run, guys, in college hoops. He's got a best bet tonight there and the NHL. So which one of these games, Dave, on the card did you like a little more than the rest?
None of the ones we talked about, but I'll talk about one that I did play tonight, and I think it's worth a bet. I circled whoever was playing against Arizona State coming out of the recent Arizona State schedule, and it happens to be Washington. And if you look at the Sun Devils, I mean, these were huge games. They took USC to the wire at home, ended up losing by 5, but that was a complete toss-up. Triple overtime marathon against UCLA, which they won, their biggest game of the season. Crowd came out absolutely on fire for the Arizona rivalry game, and Sun Devils got out to a 16-3 lead in that game. So they were red hot early on, and then reality set in, and they just got trashed in the second half by Arizona. I don't see where a team that's going nowhere, because Arizona State has no tournament hopes at all. I mean, this looks like a terrible travel spot for them. And Washington's played better lately. They did lose their last game, but they'd won 4 in a row prior to that. you can argue on paper Arizona State's got more talent, but they haven't played to that level most of the season. And I just think it's an awful spot for them tonight in terms of being motivated. So I like the Huskies here. Washington minus, I think it's 1.5.
1.5.
I'll go with Washington for the best bet here in the show, and it is a play for me tonight on Washington.
All right, good stuff. Washington there, guys, tonight against Arizona State. And our friends from the Gold Sheet, they've got a play of the day as well. And they're looking at Weber State taking on Eastern Washington, and they are anticipating points, and more points. Look at the over tonight with Weber State and Eastern Washington. And this is a great write-up, guys. If you want to check it out, head over to our Twitter page at WagerTalk. We post these after each show here. And of course, you're invited to head over to thegoldsheet.com. Check out all the write-ups of the games and all the great handicapping tools there as well. That's goldsheet.com. Tonight, I'm going to look at a revenge spot here, a quick revenge spot. And anytime a coach says that it was the most embarrassing game of his career, I'm expecting a bounce back. And that will be Indiana State tonight, taking on Evansville, a little Mo Valley. When you go 0 for 17 from 3 and don't grab an offensive rebound, I think there's going to be an effort here tonight that we didn't get there in game number 1 last week. So give me Indiana State taking on Evansville here tonight with a small number, laying the 3. And to recap one more time here, we got Tony Mejia going CAA, Hofstra Drexel over the 145.5. While Steve Merrill says, give him the points, Washington State at home, taking on Arizona. Dave likes Washington, laying 1.5 against Arizona State. I like Indiana State, laying the 3.5 now against Evansville. And our friends from the Gold Sheet, look for points tonight. Weber State, Eastern Washington over 158.5. And of course, we told you guys, best bets for all 3 of these gentlemen are locked and loaded, ready to go over at WagerTalk.com. Steve Merrill, Tony Mejia, Dave Koken. Just visit their pages, guys. And given the magnitude of the amount of games across the sports betting world here throughout this weekend, now might be the perfect time to hop on board with a 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access pass. Never miss a best bet, including all their 5% best bets right now at WagerTalk.com. Visit Mejia, visit Merrill, and visit Koken now at WagerTalk.com. And hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. We'll be back tomorrow getting you ready for another monster weekend in college hoops. Until then, best of luck with your plays tonight, guys. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Fan of Super Bowl props, but not in Las Vegas for the big game? Hosting a Super Bowl party and want to keep everyone entertained? Wager Talk has you covered with our Super Bowl party prop sheet. The concept is simple and is easy for anyone to participate and follow. First, download and print out our Super Bowl 56 party prop sheet. Pass out to everyone at your Super Bowl party and determine the entry fee, if any, and payouts. All they have to do is circle their choices for each prop. And since almost all of them are 50-50, it does not require someone to be a huge football fan or understand sports betting to participate. To get your free Super Bowl party prop sheet, just go to wt.buzz/props and follow us on Twitter at WagerTalk the day of the big game to get results in real time.